Shapes the Land by Bobby Kalman. Looking at the Earth. This picture shows the inside of Earth. The crust is the top layer of Earth. It is made of rock. We live on Earth's crust. Under the crust, there is a layer of Earth called the mantle. The mantle contains magma. Magma is red, hot, melted rock. Covered up. Much of the Earth's crust is covered by plants, water, and buildings. You can see the Earth's crust on rocky mountains such as these. A world of rocks. Under the plants and water on Earth, there are rocks. Rocks are made of minerals. There are thousands of minerals on Earth. Only a few minerals make up rocks, however. Different minerals give rocks different colors, shapes, sizes, and textures. Texture is how something looks and feels. Name all the colors you see in this rock wall. Which parts might feel smooth, sharp, or rough? Rocks of all kinds. Some rocks, such as granite, are very hard. Other rocks, such as limestone, are softer. Rocks do not stay the same. They are always changing. As they change, the shape of the land changes too. What shapes the land? Earth's crust is constantly being created and taken apart. Landforms, or land shapes, are made or changed by volcanoes, glaciers, wind, water, weather, and force. Force is a strong action or movement. Most of the changes take place over a long time, but some happen quickly. Volcanoes create land. Volcanoes change the land both quickly and slowly. Volcanoes are openings in the Earth's crust. They can erupt or explode. When volcanoes erupt, hot liquid magma bursts out of them with great force. Magma that bursts out of volcanoes is called lava. Lava can destroy land, but it also creates new land. Mountains and islands. Lava flows down the sides of volcanoes. It cools and hardens. Hardened lava is called basalt, or lava rock. When volcanoes erupt many times, layers of basalt build up and create mountains. Volcanic mountains can form on land or in oceans. When volcanoes erupt in oceans, the tops of the underwater mountains become islands. What is erosion? New land is created, but land is also worn down and carried away. The wearing away and moving of land is called erosion. Erosion changes the landscapes on Earth. Landscapes are all the parts of the Earth that you can see, such as mountains. Wind, rain, rivers, ocean waves, and ice all erode or wear away the land on mountains, coasts, desert, and other landscapes. From mountains to hills. Wind blows and water carries sediment from place to place. Sediment are pieces of rock, sand, and soil. Sediment can wear big mountains down to rolling hills. Mountains are high areas of land with steep sides. Hills are small mountains with gently sloping sides. What is weathering? Rocks are made weak by weather. Wind, rain, snow, ice, heat, cold, and frost can all weaken rocks. This weakening is called weathering. One way that weather weakens and breaks up rock is by heating and cooling them. In some places, the weather is hot during the day and cool at night. During the day, heat makes rocks expand or become larger. At night, the cool air makes rocks contract or become smaller. Growing and shrinking makes the cracks in rocks wider. Eventually, the rock breaks into pieces. Wind changes the land. Wind, erosion lifts sand, dust, soil, and other sediments and carries them away. Wind erosion is greatest in places that have few plants, such as beaches and deserts. Without plants, there is nothing to cover the land or hold it in place. On beaches and deserts, the wind creates dunes. Dunes are moving hills of sand. Dunes change shape as the wind blows. Blown away. In rocky areas, the wind blows sand and dirt against rocks. Eventually, the rocks are smoothed and eroded. The wind carves new shapes in the landscape. It creates unusual rock formations, such as the giant mushroom on the right. It's raining, it's pouring. When raindrops fall onto land, they loosen soil and other sediments. The sediments are then splashed away as it keeps raining. This type of erosion is called splash erosion. Splash erosion leaves small holes in the surface of the land. During storms or heavy rainfalls, splash erosion can cause a lot of damage to soil. The ground cannot soak up all the raindrops that fall, running off with the soil. In some places, the ground is too steep or too rocky to soak up any water. In other places, the ground may be able to soak up some of the water from rainfall, but not all. Rainwater that ground cannot soak up is called runoff. Runoff trickles or flows downhill into streams, rivers, lakes, and oceans. Runoff saturates or fills up the land with water. It removes the thin top layer of soil and carries it away. Run, river, run! Some runoff flows into rivers. Rivers are fast-moving bodies of water that flow down from hills and mountains. They carry sand, stones, soil, and other sediments. Some rivers have powerful currents. Currents are water flowing in a certain direction. Fast-flowing rivers can even carry boulders or huge rocks. As the rivers flow, the rocks and stones bump up along their bottom and sides and break off pieces of land. As rivers flow downhill, they erode soft rocks, leaving harder rocks behind. The hard rocks are like steps, forming waterfalls and rapids in the rivers. Rapids are rough, fast-flowing areas of river. River also carve V-shaped valleys into the land. Valleys are low areas of land between hills and mountains. Changing coasts. A coast is the edge of land beside an ocean. Some coasts have tall, steep rocks called cliffs. Powerful winds blow ocean waves against the cliff. The wave carries rocks and pebbles that cause cracks to form on the cliffs. Ocean water enters the cracks. Over time, the cracks get bigger, causing chunks of rocks to fall into the ocean. These pictures show erosion on coasts. What are glaciers? Ice erosion is caused by glaciers. Glaciers are huge rivers of ice that form on high mountains. They form from layers of snow that pile up over many years and turn to thick blue ice. Eventually, the glaciers become so heavy that they start moving downhill. Changing glaciers. Glaciers form on cold mountain tops around the world. In cold countries, glaciers continue to move slowly downhill until they reach oceans. Then they break off in huge chunks called icebergs and float away, making valleys. As glaciers move, rocks and dirt stick to the front, sides, and bottoms of ice. The ice and rocks scrape down the mountains. They rub away solid rock and carve U-shaped valleys into the land. Glaciers erode mountains, but they also create new landforms, such as beautiful valleys like the one on the right. We need soil. All living things need soil to survive. Without soil, people could not grow food to eat. Plants and animals would even die. Erosion creates soil by breaking rocks into tiny pieces, but it can also move soil from places where it is needed. Soil erosion is the unwanted movement of soil. Wind and water remove topsoil from the land. Topsoil is the thin top layer of soil which contains important nutrients that plants need in order to grow. People cause soil erosion. People also cause soil erosion by removing trees and other plants from the land. Plants help prevent erosion. They cover and protect rocks and soil from wind and water. Plant roots help hold soil in place so it does not erode and crumble away. Destroying plants. People clear land to build houses, farms, and roads. They also allow farm animals such as sheep and cows to overgraze in fields. To overgraze is to eat too many plants and grasses in one area. Without plants, rocks and soil erode quickly, slowing down erosion. Farmers can help stop erosion by not overgrazing their fields. They can also plant rows of trees, bushes, and other plants to protect their fields from the wind. Helpful plants. Nature helps control erosion. Although all plants help slow erosion, mangroves are especially helpful at slowing erosion on coasts. Mangroves are trees that grow along or near tropical oceans. They can survive in places where most other trees could not survive. Mangroves have thick, twisted roots that help keep mud and sediment from being carried out to the oceans. The mud and sediment build up to form new land. Mangroves also protect coasts from powerful ocean waves and storms. Name that rock. Rocks are shaped by wind, water, blowing sand, soil, and ice. Rocks with unusual shapes are called rock formations. The rock formations shown here look like animals or plants. Which rock resembles an elephant, a dragon, a tree, a goblin, a frog? What do you think? The end.